Sneinton Parish Church, Church of St Stephen and St Matthias. We're going to look at some of the flowers growing here. Right at the church gate we've got violets growing, and this violet is not an early dog violet. It's a common dog violet. You can tell because it's got the white spur to the flower, and it's a few weeks later. And we've got a lot of ivy-leaved speedwell with the tiny blue flowers. That's another carpeting plant. And there's many common violets growing here in a patch on the northeastern side, and all of these are the common violet, and you can tell because, like I said before, you can see the white notched spur to the flower, which is really interesting to see. Quite a few daisies here, even though a lot of the grassland has just been cut down, sadly. And here we've got a buddleia, an invasive plant, growing where it often does, on a wall here in the edge of the church grounds. And down here we've got a number of dandelions coming up. Always nice to see them, and they've evaded the cutting of the grass. And another beautiful sight here, and as far as the eye can see on this bank here within the church grounds, you've got these early dog violets. They've started flowering a bit earlier, but you can tell that they're not the same as the common dog violet because they've got the violet spur as opposed to the white spur. So we've got two breeds or species of violet growing in the same churchyard, one at one end and one at the other end. Beautiful to see them here, and they are very, very striking in the colour at this west end of the churchyard. Now, all of these violets have the violet spur, but common violets, which we saw at the other gate, is possible to hybridize with the violet that we've got here. And when it does, you have a violet that's somewhat intermediate, but they're not particularly common, but you'd expect them to happen around here because you've got the two species growing together in some abundance. And as often happens, you get lesser celandines, those nice early buttercups, which can often be found in short turf and always commonly in churchyards. Let's see if I can get close up to one. Very nice. And here we have some of the early dog violets have established themselves on a wall. Not something you often see, but there are quite a few of them at the base of the wall here, and they seem very successful. These early dog violets are pretty abundant at this site here. And on the church wall itself we've got lots of plants that have become miniaturized by growing on a wall, and you've got lots of mosses here as well of a number of different kinds, and they're getting a bit desiccated at the moment. And more violets here. And not far from where the early violets are growing, this common violet with a white spur is also growing. So the possibilities for hybridization here are quite strong, I think. This is green alkanet, quite a common plant that now appears in gardens and churchyards alike. It's a member of the borage family, and it's nice to see it in flower here now to add to the variety of colours in this churchyard. That's a nice find, a forget-me-not. May be wild or it may not be. Again, these are plants that seem to be reducing at the moment in numbers, but it's really nice to find one here as the petals are blowing down from the tree, for the flowers on the trees. And these are all early violets, and they're actually, some of the common violets are coming up among them. So again, I think the possibility of hybridization is quite strong. And hedge parsley, a very common weed and abundant everywhere really, in churchyards, byways, grass, you'll find it everywhere. Nice to see it flowering early in this churchyard of St. Stephen's. And here we've got willow herbs coming up, and I'm particularly interested in willow herbs because I'm convinced that many of these are hybridizing these days. Impossible to tell what kind these are. They don't have red stems, but I do believe that many of these are hybrids. And there's another one coming up here, look. These are quite well developed, these are quite well on, and they have got tooths on the leaves, so these could be, I think, broad-leaved willow herbs, but I'm not really sure. And here we've got some violets that have got a notch spur, but it looks like it might be have a purple tinge to it. So my guess is that this might be a hybrid, and that these plants are indeed crossing on this site. But the abundance of viola species, violets, on this site is incredible. Along the whole perimeter of the churchyards and around the church wall, these plants have been very successful and coming up in large numbers here. I've never seen so many recently as there are here. It's beautiful to see them. Common nettles coming up here. Well, they say sometimes you have to grasp the nettle, but I'm not going to be grasping these because they will have real stingers. But the beauty of these plants in the young growth is that they are edible. You can boil them up and eat them just as though they were spinach, for example. Very tasty. That's the nettle. Perhaps not such a welcome plant is this goosegrass or cleavers, though hopefully it'll be an ephemeral, it'll come and go, and it's not in flower yet, so I don't risk taking the seeds anywhere, which is a good thing. They do spread like crazy, and I've noticed these plants particularly coming up on the site of a wildfire, not about a mile away from here. This part of the churchyard there aren't any violets, which is interesting since they cover very much of the site here, but we've got dandelions and the grass has been allowed to grow long here. And here we've got white dead nettles just coming up, and you can just see the buds there. They should be open by now, but this one's a bit late. White dead nettle is very common, and it has a number of herbal uses. And here, loads and loads of young willow herb shoots. I think these are probably greater willow herbs. Now, these are interesting because the lower leaf rosettes don't have any leaves on them. As the plant is growing, the leafiness develops as the plant grows its stem. Another nice plant to see, the common cowslip, and this is the only plant I've seen of this species growing on this site. And finally, just to show you again the differences between these species of violet, this is Viola raviniana, and it's got the white spur with the notch at the end, so that's Viola raviniana. This one's Viola reichenbacchiana, and you can see the spur is a lot longer and is definitely violet, and the petals don't really overlap so much as they do in the common violet. So, hope you found this interesting. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll hopefully see you soon. Thanks for watching.